bold, but it's very true.
You don't hate to say it, say it.
Blackness has been weaponized to the point that we, as a people, exhibit a higher threat to law enforcement in law enforcement interactions.
Why is that?
Than people from other cultures.
Why is that?
That's a result of a number of questions.
Well, that's a result of the country, the history of this country. It's also a result probably of crime. I know that's where you're going. You're going to say most of the crime is committed by African Americans.
The simple fact is, unfortunately,
police officers are trained. That's what police officers are trained to do, to deal with people.
You're exactly right. Now, my point in this case, and by the way, in Baton Rouge, although one I believe is justifiable, one does not seem to be justifiable.
By the way, I don't see how that one's justifiable either.
I don't accept either.
Wait a second, but when we were talking offset about an incident that happened to me that involved one of my personal, I was a young agent, had a guy hands up.
Your situation seemed justifiable.
Wait a second.
This one didn't seem justifiable.
You said.
No, let's continue to talk about this because listen, and don't get me wrong. I'm from Baton Rouge. I know most of the players involved, and if I don't know them, they're connected to my family. So I know that this man had a criminal record. Okay, whatever. But if you look at what happened,
you know that
police officers are trained to de-escalate situations. And as I'm speaking to people who are high up in law enforcement in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, they are saying that it looks bad for the officers. The officers appear, at this point, unless something else comes out, to have acted too aggressively, and the language that they use with this man, you're dead, and possibly using other racial language. At this point, unless something else comes out, those officers are in big trouble.
You're responding to a man with a gun call. So, as you're rolling up on the scene, you know this guy, as far as you know, has a firearm that he's already brandished at one person. We agree so far. You give him lawful arrest commands, he's not complying. They tried the stun gun for whatever reason, that was not operational. Now, the way they took the guy down, very bad. There's a much better way. And by the way, why rush? You got time, the guy's not going anywhere, okay? Take your time, take him down right. But now, he goes to the ground. Both weapons are holstered until one of them says he's got a gun. How does that happen? Probably they're wrestling, and I could tell you.
Didn't they know he had a gun from the set?
Yeah, but now they know.
They already knew.
But wait, hold on a second. Now you know. But by the way, and I've said this before, I don't believe Mr. Sterling was trying to pull the weapon on the cops. What I think might have happened, he might have said he'd try to get that gun, throw it away, get it off his person. For whatever reason, at that time, he had a gun on him. The police officer knows it. How does he feels the pocket, he knows it's a gun. If that hand goes into that pocket for any reason, what do you want them to do?
Okay, we're going to talk about that next. But let me just say, I am one who always says that you should comply with police officers, especially as a man of color.
That's
when I'm stopped by a police officer,
I tell my kids the same thing.
Officer, why are you stopping me? Yes, officer, or whatever. Now, I'm an American. I shouldn't have to do that. I shouldn't have to be yes-sirring anybody, right? I'm a grown, you-know-what man.
You don't have to say sir, but if he's giving you the
but I do it because I want to stay alive. That's why I do it. I shouldn't have to. Now, my friends, my white counterparts, don't do that. They speak to police officers in a way that I would never
I speak to them just like you do.
Years do. And that is the reality of it. I have to do that because I want to stay alive. As accomplished, let me finish. As accomplished as I am, and a man of color on television who are recognizable to many people, I have to do that because I don't want to be shot and I don't want to be killed. And I am someone who is never in trouble. The only time I'm ever stopped is for something stupid, riding a skateboard on the sidewalk. That's the kind of crap I'm stopped for, not for anything else.
Okay,
and when that happens, yes, officer, how may I help you?
I say the same thing. And I tell my kids to say the same thing.
And that's what the guy in Minnesota, they said his mother said, she taught him the same thing, and he is dead today.
See, here's the thing, and Don brings up a very good point with this. This notion that compliance and respectability save someone's life in an encounter of police is not the reality for black men in this country. That is a problem.
But I still say, and I know people will get upset, if an officer stops you, you do what he says.
There's no disagreement there.
And you do it.
But I think
you shouldn't have to, but in this environment, to stay alive, you should do that.
There's no question that from a practical standpoint, I mentor young men in Brooklyn. I tell them the very same thing. We want you alive. We want you around.
Right.
So we need you to conduct yourself in a certain way when you're dealing with law enforcement, even though that should not be. But really quickly, I want to make this point. We are making each and every one of these situations about the facts. Did this person do this? Did this person not? Et cetera, et cetera. Those are decisions that should be made by a jury. Those are decisions that should be made in a criminal court of law because that's what our system dictates.
Yeah.
These are not decisions to be made after the fact, as an officer has decided to take matters into his own hands and kill someone.
And remember, the
Everybody
person's
else.
already,
So you indict the guy if he did something wrong.
I've gone at least 5 or 10 minutes over. I'm going to be in big trouble here. But I want to say the president is also weighing in on this, and I'll give you a little bit before we go to break. The President of the United States weighing in on this. He released a statement saying all Americans should be deeply troubled by the fatal shootings of Alton Sterling in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Philando Castile in Falcon Heights, Minnesota. We have seen such tragedies far too many times, and our hearts go out to the families and the communities who have suffered such painful losses. Then he talks about the Department of Justice, how they've opened investigations. He also talks about the task force that he initiated, and then he says, in the meantime, okay, and this is very important, I think, all Americans should recognize the anger, frustration, and grief that so many Americans are feeling. Feelings that are being expressed in peaceful protests and vigils. Michelle and I share those feelings. Rather than fall into a predictable pattern of division and political posturing, let's reflect on what we can do better. Let's come together as a nation and keep faith with one another in order to ensure a future where all our children know that their lives matter. President of the United States,